Chosen one. Stop for a moment. Yes, heaven itself has paused the noise around you to get this word through to your heart. You may think it's coincidence that your eyes landed on this, but nothing about your life has ever been random. The Father has been orchestrating each beat of your journey, and today, He is holding back time so you can finally hear Him. You are not like the rest. You have always felt it, though you couldn't always explain it. You moved through rooms and carried an energy that unsettled some, inspired others, and often left you feeling misunderstood. But hear me clearly. That tension was not proof that you were flawed. It was evidence that you were marked. Marked from the beginning. Set apart for a purpose greater than what ordinary eyes could ever see. Think back on the times when you felt overlooked, invisible, forgotten. Remember the nights you cried quietly into your pillow, hoping no one could hear the cracks in your soul. Heaven heard every soundless sob. You may not realize it, but those tears watered the soil of your calling, like hidden rain nourishing roots underground. Your silent suffering was preparing you for a harvest that eyes could not yet perceive. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman who felt buried under the weight of waiting. She saw her friends moving forward, careers flourishing, families being built, lives decorated with what looked like success, while she sat in silence, praying, waiting, and asking, "Why not me, Lord?" What she didn't see was that God was sharpening her spirit in that hidden place. Her waiting was not wasted, it was weight training. When her season finally shifted, she carried strength and wisdom none of her peers had. Her testimony became a lighthouse to others who were drowning in delay. Chosen one. You are not just enduring a season, you are being forged in fire for what others cannot carry. I need you to picture something with me. Imagine a crown locked inside a vault. For years, it has been waiting, not gathering dust, not forgotten, but preserved in brilliance until the exact moment it is placed upon the rightful head. That crown has your name engraved upon it. It has been waiting for you to step into alignment, to rise above the distractions, and to claim it. The enemy has fought you so violently because he knows once that crown rests on your head, his grip over certain territories will shatter. This is why I must say, don't scroll past this moment. Don't ignore this divine interruption. What you are hearing now is not just words, it is the very breath of heaven invading your atmosphere. Your spirit knows it. You feel it even as you read. Something is stirring deep within. Something you cannot explain, but cannot deny. The Word of God speaks in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you, wherever you go. Take that image to heart. You are not crawling anymore. You are not limping through life without hope. You are destined to soar, to rise above storms, to catch the wind of the Spirit and let it carry you into realms you could never reach on your own. Just as an eagle does not fear the storm, but uses the wind to climb higher, you will use the very resistance that came against you as the lift that takes you upward. Now, listen carefully. There is a reason you are hearing this word today, and it is not to entertain you. It is to awaken you. You stand at the threshold of a shift, and heaven is asking you to lean in fully. This is your moment to say, "Yes, Lord, I hear you. I will not miss my time." Not. If this word resonates in your spirit, don't just keep it locked inside. Share it. Someone you know is secretly drowning, and your simple act of pressing share could be the lifeline they didn't know they needed. Comment below and let the world know. I receive my crown. Subscribe, not just to stay connected, but as a prophetic act of saying, I will not walk alone. I choose to remain in the flow of God's voice. End. Chosen one. Heaven is leaning close. You are not here by mistake. This moment has been written into your timeline since before you were born. And now, the question echoes, will you rise into it? Or will you turn away? The crown waits. The vault is ready to open. Your name is already engraved. Chosen one. Heaven is leaning close. You are not here by mistake. This moment has been written into your timeline since before you were born. And now, the question echoes, will you rise into it? Or will you turn away? The crown waits. The vault is ready to open. Your name is already engraved. If you feel this word has spoken directly into your spirit, type 111 in the comments as a prophetic declaration. I step into my new beginning with courage. You carry a mark, a fire etched upon your spirit since the moment you entered this world. Others may not have seen it, but the unseen realm has always known who you are. From childhood, there were whispers against you, storms that seemed too strong for someone your age to handle. But those battles were not random, they were recognition. Hell saw your potential long before you did. And so, like a warrior in training, you were targeted because you were chosen. Consider the life of Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers. At first glance, his rejection looked like abandonment. Yet beneath the surface, the hand of God was weaving a story that would save nations. In the same way, the seal on your life has placed you on a path others may not understand. What looked like betrayal, loneliness, or unfair suffering has been shaping you into someone who carries a mantle much heavier than the ordinary soul could bear. Imagine your spirit as a burning torch carried through the night. Around you, darkness presses in, seeking to swallow the flame. But no matter how fierce the winds have blown, the fire has not gone out. Why? Because it is not fueled by your strength, it is fueled by the breath of the Almighty. Each time you thought you would collapse, something inside you whispered, "Not yet." Rise again. That whisper was not your imagination. It was heaven's reminder that your assignment is not finished. Perhaps you have wondered, why me? Why so much pain? Why can't I live like everyone else? The answer is simple. You were never meant to blend in. The fire on you demanded separation. It demanded seasons of loneliness, where you were pruned, refined, and stripped of what others cling to. That was not punishment, it was preparation. You are a vessel too precious to be handled casually. Let me share with you a picture. Imagine a blacksmith in the heat of his forge. Before he shapes the metal into a sword, he places it into the fire again and again, pounding, refining, removing every impurity. The process is violent, loud, and relentless. Yet when the blacksmith is finished, what once was formless is transformed into a weapon capable of piercing through any defense. That is what the fire on your life has been doing. You have been forged in the hidden furnace. And though others may not yet see your shine, heaven sees a weapon gleaming in the spirit. It is written in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 7. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested, as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. There was once a young man who felt ordinary. His friends outshone him. His family did not recognize any greatness in him, and his own heart wrestled with insecurity. Yet, he began to notice that doors of opportunity opened for him that should have remained locked. He survived accidents that could have claimed his life. He encountered people at the right moment who offered wisdom he desperately needed. Slowly, he began to realize his life was not ordinary. Every coincidence was actually providence. He was marked, and once he accepted that reality, his confidence shifted. He no longer begged for belonging. He walked with the awareness that he carried heaven's seal. You too must understand this. Your mark is not visible like ink on skin. It is a fragrance in the spirit realm. Darkness recognizes it. Angels recognize it. The moment you step into a room, something unseen adjusts. Have you not felt it? Some people either cling to you instantly or feel uneasy in your presence, though you've done nothing to provoke them. That is the fire. It separates. It identifies. It declares, this one is set apart. End of 4. The prophet Jeremiah once spoke about being chosen before birth, consecrated as a prophet to the nations. In the same way, your calling precedes your mistakes, your failures, and even your own understanding of yourself. You cannot erase what God has sealed. The mark upon you is not fragile, it is eternal. Hold on to this truth. What has been placed upon your life cannot be removed by jealousy, by curses, or by sabotage. Even when you stumbled, the fire never went out. Even when you doubted yourself, the seal remained. You are still marked. The forge has not destroyed you, it has revealed you. And the world has yet to see the fullness of what that fire inside you will become. You have carried silent battles, and yet you remain standing. Every sleepless night, every tear unspoken, every weight you thought would crush you has only revealed the endurance inside of you. Chosen one. The world has not seen the depth of what you've survived, but heaven has, and the truth is this: your silent tears are counted, your hidden cries are recorded, and your pain has never been wasted. Think of David, the shepherd boy turned king. Before the crown ever touched his head, he wept in caves, betrayed by those closest to him, hunted like prey, forgotten by men, but remembered by God. In the hidden valleys, David's tears became prayers. In the lonely caves, his cries turned into psalms that still bring healing to broken hearts today. Do you see? What was meant to drown him became the fountain of worship that would echo through generations. And the same is true for you. Your tears have not been signs of weakness, but seeds of legacy. Picture this: a jar in heaven's courts, crystal clear and shining with divine light. Into that jar, every tear you have shed has fallen tears you thought were wasted, tears you thought no one saw. But the Father saw. He caught them all. And each drop is a testimony. When the day comes, that jar will not testify of your suffering, but of your faith. It will declare before heaven and hell that though you were pressed, you did not break. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Understand this truth. Your hidden cries have been louder in heaven than any shout you could have raised on earth. Angels moved at those silent prayers. Strength was given to you in the midnight hour because God Himself heard you. You are not invisible, not forgotten, not abandoned. The world may not know your scars, but heaven has written your pain into its eternal record. There was once a man who endured years of rejection. His friends mocked him. His family misunderstood him, and his heart grew heavy with loneliness. Often, he would walk alone at night, tears rolling down his cheeks as he whispered, "Lord, do you see me?" And one night, in the stillness, he felt an unexplainable peace wrap around him like a cloak. The storms didn't disappear immediately, but his heart shifted. He knew then that he was not alone, that every step of his painful path was being directed toward something greater. Later, when God lifted him into influence, he carried a compassion and depth of wisdom that only suffering could have forged. Chosen one. You may not realize it, but the nights you cried were nights you were being shaped. The sorrow you endured has birthed a compassion that will heal others. Your pain is not your prison, it is your preparation. Every tear is being transformed into oil, oil that will anoint your words, your presence, your very life, with healing power for others who suffer silently. So what should you do now? Lift your eyes and acknowledge the one who has carried you. Do not despise the nights you felt broken, for they have built you into someone unshakable. Do not fear the scars you carry, for they are proof of your survival. And survival is the foundation of your testimony. And here is your moment of response. I want you to write these 3 words in the comments. God sees me. When you write it, you're not just typing, you are declaring that your story has been witnessed by heaven itself. You are proclaiming that you are no longer invisible, no longer forgotten, but seen by the God who records every tear. And as you write it, know this: you are aligning your voice with the truth that will shatter the lie of loneliness forever. Chosen one. Never again believe that your tears are wasted. They are seeds, and the harvest is coming. The jar in heaven is filling, and soon, what has been sown in tears will be reaped in joy. And remember this: joy is not delayed forever. Just as the farmer waits for the rains before the harvest bursts forth, so your waiting has been watering something unseen. The laughter that will rise from your spirit will be deeper because it was born from tears. The joy coming to you will not be shallow, it will be anchored, unshakable, and undeniable. Hold on, for what is ahead will cause you to forget the weight of what is behind. Rejection has followed you like a shadow, doors closed in your face. Voices told you that you were not enough, and people you trusted turned away. Each moment of rejection left an ache in your chest, a question in your heart: why me? But the truth is that rejection is not the end of your story, it is the redirection of your destiny. What man discards, God redeems. What others overlook, heaven crowns. Consider Hosea, a prophet commanded to love one who would not love him faithfully. To human eyes, his life looked like tragedy, but in God's hands, his story became a picture of relentless love, a testimony that divine purpose is not shaken by human rejection. Your own story carries that same truth. Where others said, "You are not worthy," God whispered, "You are chosen." Where others turned away, He leaned closer. Where you were pushed aside, He set you apart. It is written in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 23, I will say to those called not my people, you are my people, and they will say, you are my God. Take a moment and let those words settle. The labels the world tried to put on you, unworthy, forgotten, abandoned, do not define you. God himself has spoken a new name over you, my people, my chosen, my own. This name cannot be erased by gossip, by betrayal, or by the sting of rejection. Rejection hurts deeply because you were created for connection. Yet God allows it to strip away the counterfeit so you can be drawn into what is authentic. When you were denied entrance to certain circles, it wasn't because you lacked value, it was because your destiny could not fit in the confines of their small expectations. You were built for higher places, and the pain of being shut out was heaven's way of moving you forward. Think of a seed in the soil. When it is buried, it looks like it has been discarded, covered in darkness, hidden where no eye can see. But in that hidden place, the seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and new life is being prepared. The soil that looked like rejection is actually the womb of resurrection. You, too, have been buried in seasons of loneliness, but only because heaven was preparing you to sprout into a place others never imagined you could stand. I recall the story of a young man who longed to be accepted by his peers. He tried to shape himself into what they wanted, bending his personality to fit, softening his voice so he would not stand out. But no matter how hard he tried, he was always left outside the circle. For years, this wounded him deeply. But one day, as he stood alone by a riverbank, he heard in his heart the quiet assurance of God. You were never made to blend in, you were made to lead. That moment shifted his life. The rejection he had endured became the strength that propelled him into leadership, and the very people who once dismissed him began to seek his wisdom. Chosen one, rejection has not diminished you, it has defined you. It has carved into your soul resilience, compassion, and vision that cannot be taught in classrooms or found in comfort. Those who wounded you were unknowingly tools in the hand of the Master, chiseling away what was temporary so that the eternal mark of heaven would shine more clearly on you. Look at the cross. Even the Son of God faced rejection, mocked, spat upon, betrayed by one of his own, and denied by another. Yet out of that rejection came resurrection. Out of the scorn came salvation. If the Savior himself was not exempt, then neither are you. But just as rejection could not hold him in the grave, it will not hold you in despair. Lift your head and see it clearly. Every no you received was a divine rerouting. Every door that shut was heaven's hand, guiding you to the one door that will swing wide at the appointed time. You do not need universal acceptance, you only need divine alignment. And when the moment comes, you will step into rooms that others cannot explain, carrying an authority that cannot be denied. Rejection is not your end. It is your elevation. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone, and you, too, will rise from what was cast aside into what is chosen. The pain you carry will be the platform on which God displays His glory. So, do not despise the closed doors. They were never meant to contain you. The rejection of man is the stage for the exaltation of God in your life. The battle for your soul has never been casual. From the very beginning, the forces of darkness marked you as a threat. The sleepless nights, the storms that seemed to come without warning, The betrayals that broke your heart, these were not random. They were strategic attacks meant to drain your strength, to convince you that you were weak, and to silence the voice inside you that carries authority. But listen carefully. If the war has been fierce, it is only because your destiny is greater than you realize. Think about the Apostle Paul. He endured shipwrecks, beatings, prisons, and constant opposition to the world. It looked like his life was a string of tragedies, yet every attack only proved the significance of his mission. The enemy does not waste energy on those who pose no threat. The war over your soul is evidence that your light terrifies the darkness. It is written in the letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 37. In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Hold on to that truth. You are not merely surviving the battle, you are designed to overcome it. You are more than a conqueror. That means the war is not just about your endurance, it is about your inheritance. The enemy knows that if you step fully into your calling, others will be set free. Entire families, even nations, will feel the ripple of your obedience. That is why he has fought you so viciously. Imagine a battlefield at night. The ground is littered with broken weapons, the air thick with the smell of smoke. In the distance, a single warrior still stands, scarred but unbroken, flames still burning in the torch he carries. That is you. Though the enemy expected you to fall, you remain upright, and your very existence is a declaration. I am not finished. And your struggles have been real, but they have not been wasted. The pain has given you perspective. The wounds have given you wisdom. The fire has given you focus. Each trial has been shaping you into a warrior who cannot be deceived by shadows, who cannot be intimidated by threats. And now, you stand at a turning point. Heaven whispers, the war you've endured has only revealed the warrior you were destined to be. There was once a woman who felt constantly attacked. Every step forward seemed to bring a fresh wave of resistance. Bills piled up. Friendships fell apart. Health wavered. She wondered if she was cursed. But in prayer, she heard God's voice. This is not punishment. This is proof. You are carrying a fire the enemy cannot extinguish. That realization changed her perspective. Instead of seeing herself as a victim, she rose like a warrior. She began to pray with authority, to speak life where death tried to creep in, to hold her head high even in storms. Over time, what once looked like defeat became testimony after testimony of God's faithfulness. Chosen one. That same shift is waiting for you. You are not under attack because you are weak. You are under attack because you are dangerous. Heaven has placed a sword in your hand. And even if you feel unworthy or unprepared, the Spirit within you makes you more than enough. And now, let me speak plainly. If this word resonates with you, do not keep it to yourself. Others are in the heat of the same war, and your simple act of engagement could be the weapon that breaks their chains. Press like, not for vanity, but as a prophetic sign that you stand as more than a conqueror. Share this message so another warrior remembers they are not alone in the fight. Subscribe so that you never walk through battle without fresh reminders of who you are. And if God moves your heart, support with a donation. Every gift becomes a weapon in the hands of heaven's messengers, ensuring that this word reaches those who are standing at the edge of surrender. You may not realize it, but your engagement here is prophetic. Each click, each share, Each offering of support is not just digital activity, it is warfare. It is saying to the enemy, "You tried to silence me, but I will amplify the voice of truth." Now, lift your head. See yourself for who you truly are, scarred but not broken, wounded but still standing, opposed but undefeated. The war has raged, but the victory has already been written. You are more than a conqueror. You are the chosen warrior heaven has unleashed for this very hour. And when the story is told, it will not be one of defeat. It will be the tale of how you stood in the middle of the battlefield and declared with your life, "The light wins." You stand at the edge of a decision. It may not look dramatic on the outside, but in the spirit realm, it is monumental. Heaven has paused here because your choice carries eternal weight. This is the crossroads, the place where one step can lead you into destiny, or one hesitation can drift you into delay. Think of Elijah on Mount Carmel. The prophet stood before a wavering nation and asked a piercing question. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. That same voice is echoing now. You cannot walk two roads forever. You cannot serve both light and shadow. At some point, you must choose. And that point, chosen one, is now. Life often disguises crossroads as ordinary days. You wake up, you scroll, you move through your routine, but suddenly, a word like this grips your spirit, and you realize this is no ordinary moment. This is divine intervention. Heaven is leaning over your timeline, inviting you to align. One decision can shift everything. It is written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." End of. This is your appointed time. What you've been waiting for is not delayed forever. It is waiting for your alignment. Every prophecy, every whisper from God, every vision you've carried in secret is converging into this moment. The crossroads is not punishment, it is invitation. An invitation to trust that even if the path ahead looks uncertain, his hand is steady. Imagine a traveler reaching a fork in the road at dusk. To the left lies a path wide and crowded. Voices shouting, "This is easier." To the right, a narrow trail winds upward, steep and shrouded in mystery. Few choose it, yet the summit it leads to is breathtaking, filled with vistas only the brave can see. You, chosen one, are at that fork. The wide road offers comfort but emptiness. The narrow road demands courage but leads to glory. The question is not whether you are capable, the question is whether you will choose. There was once a young woman who faced her own crossroads. She had opportunities laid before her that promised wealth, recognition, and ease. Yet deep inside, she felt a pull toward a quieter, harder road, a road that meant sacrifice, but also obedience. Many told her she was foolish, that she was wasting her life, yet she chose the narrow way. Years later, she saw the fruit of that decision, lives transformed through her words, families restored through her influence, nations impacted by her obedience. She realized that the crossroads was not just about her comfort, it was about her calling. So it is with you. This is not just about what feels right in the moment. This is about your legacy. Your choice today, will ripple across generations. Heaven and hell both wait to see what you will decide. Will you linger in hesitation? Or will you rise in boldness? The Spirit of God is pressing urgency on your heart right now. Not fear, but holy urgency, the kind that says, do not delay, do not look back, step forward. Because every delay feeds the enemy's plan, but every step of obedience shatters his hold. Understand this. Hesitation at the crossroads is more dangerous than outright rejection. Why? Because hesitation lulls you into thinking you have time. But time is not always guaranteed. That is why the Spirit is stirring you now. The appointed time has come, and here is your moment to respond. As a prophetic act, type 444" the comments. This is not superstition, it is declaration. The number 4 echoes stability, foundation, and divine order. Writing 444 is your way of saying, I choose alignment. I choose the narrow road. I step into the foundation God has set for me. Let that number be more than digits on a screen. Let it be the imprint of your decision in this very hour. Chosen one. You are not standing at this crossroads alone. The same God who led Israel through the wilderness, who spoke to Elijah on the mountain, who whispered to Habakkuk in the waiting, is with you now. The path may be narrow, but his hand will guide you. The climb may be steep, but his Spirit will strengthen you. And when you look back, you will see that this crossroads was the beginning of the greatest journey of your life. Step forward. The revelation will not delay. The appointed time has come. Delay is one of the enemy's most subtle weapons. Unlike open attack, it does not roar, it whispers. It tells you, you still have time. Tomorrow will be better. Later, you will obey. But delay is a thief dressed in silence. While you wait for the perfect moment, destiny waits for your obedience. There is a heaviness that comes with procrastination. At first, it feels harmless. You convince yourself that postponing is wise, that perhaps more clarity will come with time. But slowly, you begin to notice how days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. The dreams that once burned with urgency now flicker faintly, like a candle running out of wax. That, chosen one, is the danger of delay. It doesn't always destroy loudly, but it erodes silently. Think of the parable Jesus told about the 10 virgins. 5 were wise, keeping their lamps filled with oil, ready for the bridegroom's arrival. The other 5 delayed. They assumed they had time to prepare. But when the cry came at midnight, their delay left them scrambling, unprepared, and ultimately shut out. That story is not about lamps and oil alone. It is about readiness. It is about the danger of assuming that tomorrow is guaranteed. It is written in the letter of James, chapter 4, verse 14. Why? You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Those words are a wake-up call. Life is not as long as it seems when eternity is in view. Delay can trick you into thinking that you control time. But time is the one gift you cannot buy back once it slips through your fingers. Imagine a musician with a harp in hand, strings waiting to be played. The room is silent, the audience ready. Yet the musician hesitates, staring at the strings, telling himself, soon I will play. Moment passe. The audience grows restless. and the beauty that could have filled the air is lost in hesitation. That is what happens when you delay the melody of your calling. The world waits for the song inside you, but silence remains. There was once a man who longed to start a project God had placed on his heart. Year after year, he told himself, "Next season, when I have more money. Next season, when I feel ready." Decades slipped by. By the time he looked back, opportunities had closed. People he could have helped had moved on, and regret was the only companion left in his waiting. Delay had stolen what obedience could have built. Chosen one. Hear this with love, but also urgency. Every time you postpone, you give ground to the enemy. He does not need you to renounce your calling. He only needs you to delay it until it no longer matters. His strategy is not always destruction, but distraction, and distraction breeds delay. The danger of delay is not only in lost opportunities, but also in hardened hearts. When you ignore the promptings of the Spirit long enough, your ears grow dull, and what once felt urgent now feels optional. Mercy does not last forever when it is resisted continually. There is a line where procrastination turns into rebellion, and rebellion blinds the heart. Think of Israel in the wilderness. They delayed obedience, murmuring, and circling the same mountain for 40 years. What could have been an 11-day journey became a generation's graveyard. Delay turned promise into punishment. Their feet moved, but their destiny stood still. And yet, there is hope. Conviction is a gift. It means the Spirit is still calling, still awakening, still inviting. If you feel that stirring now, it is proof that delay has not won. It is proof that time remains to act, to obey, to step forward. Picture a runner at the starting line. The race has been prepared. The track is clear, and the signal has already sounded, but the runner hesitates, waiting for another horn, another confirmation. Meanwhile, others have begun the race, and the opportunity to finish well slips further away. That image is what delay creates: a life still at the starting line, while destiny unfolds without you. You were not designed to linger at the edge of obedience. You were called to step boldly. Even when the road looks uncertain, faith is not waiting for perfect clarity. Faith is moving because God has spoken. Do not let delay become the thief of your crown. What waits ahead for you requires urgency, not hesitation. Time is precious, and destiny does not bow to procrastination. Step into what has been entrusted to you while the invitation still stands. Conviction is often misunderstood. Many mistake it for condemnation, a voice of shame pressing them down. But conviction is not a chain. It is a hand reaching to lift you up before the edge swallows you whole. It is the Father's whisper saying, "Come back. Don't go further. This road will not give you life." Without conviction, you would walk blindly into ruin. With conviction, you are redirected into mercy. There is a gentleness in how God convicts. It does not come with the crushing weight of hopelessness, but with the sharp clarity of love, like a shepherd tapping the staff against the side of the wandering sheep. Conviction nudges you back onto the safe path. It warns not because you are hated, but because you are loved too much to be abandoned. It is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 6, "For the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his child." Those words hold a profound comfort. Conviction is not rejection. It is proof of adoption. It is the evidence that you belong to Him, that you are not forgotten, that He refuses to let you destroy yourself without warning. The enemy condemns to crush you, but God convicts to restore you. Picture a traveler walking at night along a narrow cliff. On one side, the ground is steady. On the other, a deadly drop into darkness. Suddenly, a lantern shines from behind, revealing how close his foot is to the edge. That moment of shock, the realization of danger, is conviction. The lantern does not push him over, it saves him from falling. There was once a young man who lived recklessly, making choices that slowly strangled his spirit. Each night, he felt a small whisper inside, warning him, but he pushed it away, telling himself it was guilt, nothing more. One day, after narrowly escaping disaster, he realized that the inner voice had been God's mercy all along. Conviction had been chasing him, not to punish, but to save. From that day forward, he began to see conviction as proof that God still cared enough to call him back. Chosen one. You must learn to treasure conviction. It is not the enemy's hand, it is the Spirit's embrace. To lose conviction is far more dangerous than to feel it. A heart that no longer trembles at sin is a heart at risk of blindness. Conviction means the door of mercy is still open. Think of Jonah, running from his assignment, the storm, the casting of lots, the belly of the great fish. These were not coincidences. They were conviction in motion. God pulling him back from rebellion into obedience. The process was not comfortable, but it was necessary. Without conviction, Jonah's story would have ended in disobedience. With conviction, it became a story of redemption and revival. Imagine your soul as a musical instrument. When it drifts out of tune, the sound grows dissonant, harsh to the ear. Conviction is the tuning hand of God, adjusting the strings until harmony returns. It may stretch you, it may feel uncomfortable, but the result is beauty, your life resonating in alignment with heaven's melody. Many people despise conviction because it stings. It interrupts comfort. It challenges pride. It demands change. Yet the sting of conviction is the medicine that heals. To reject it is to choose the illness over the cure. To embrace it is to accept the loving surgery of the Spirit, who cuts only to restore. Remember David after his failure with Bathsheba. When the prophet Nathan confronted him, conviction pierced his heart. He could have hardened himself, but instead, he broke before God. Out of that moment came Psalm 51, a cry of repentance, still healing hearts. Centuries later, conviction did not end David, it rebuilt him. Chosen one, let conviction guide you. When you feel the stirring inside, do not push it away. Do not drown it with noise, excuses, or distractions. Lean into it. Ask the Spirit, what are you showing me? Where are you redirecting me? Those who listen to conviction walk in light. Those who silence it wander deeper into shadow. Conviction is a gift. It is heaven's way of saying, the story is not over. Come back while there is still time. It is the shepherd's call in the night, the lantern on the cliff, the whisper before the storm. Do not despise it. Do not ignore it. Treasure it as the evidence that you are loved. And when conviction comes again, receive it not with fear, but with gratitude. For each whisper means heaven is still reaching, still guiding, still believing in your return. Conviction is mercy's voice, and mercy always carries hope. The image of a crown has always been tied to victory, but few understand the cost that precedes it. Crowns are not handed out for existing, they are reserved for those who endure, who choose obedience when compromise is easier, who run the race with vision fixed beyond what the eye can see. Chosen one. Your crown is not a distant dream, it is a reality already set aside, engraved with your name. But like a runner pressing toward the finish line, you must choose to reach for it. It is written in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 25. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Think about that. The world trains for crowns of metal and jewels, symbols that eventually fade, tarnish, or are forgotten in history books. But the crown you are being shaped for is incorruptible, eternal, unshakable. Every tear, every sacrifice, every yes to God when no one was watching has been forming a testimony that will be revealed when your crown is placed upon you. Imagine an arena filled with thousands, the race nearing its final lap. Many have started, but not all continue. Some stumble, some give up, some are distracted by the crowd. Yet there is one runner, scarred but determined, eyes locked on the finish line. That runner does not hear the jeers or the noise, only the voice of the one who waits with the crown in his hand. That chosen one is the posture heaven is calling you to embody. There was once a young man who lived in constant comparison. He looked at others' achievements and felt smaller, as if his journey had no worth. But then, through scripture, he discovered the truth. His race was unique, his lane designed only for him. Slowly, he stopped competing with others and began competing with the version of himself that wanted to give up. In time, he saw the fruit doors opening, strength growing, and peace filling his heart. He realized the crown was not about outrunning others, but about finishing his assignment faithfully. Your crown requires focus. Distraction is the enemy's greatest tool, because if he cannot steal your calling, he will try to slow you down. That is why discipline matters, not rigid religion, but intentional living. Protecting your time, guarding your heart, feeding your spirit. Each decision is like training for the race ahead. Without it, fatigue overtakes you. With it, you build endurance that carries you to the end. Picture a craftsman carving a crown from gold. Every strike of the chisel seems harsh, removing chunks of metal. But with each strike, the design becomes clearer. What once looked ordinary begins to shine with intricate beauty. That is what your trials have been, heaven's chiseling to reveal the glory of your crown. Do not envy those who seem crowned too quickly. Some crowns rust, some fade, but yours is eternal. You are running not for applause that disappears, but for glory that never ends. And now, your response is needed. In the comments, write, "I claim it." Just 3 words. But more than words, it is declaration. By writing this, you are choosing not to run aimlessly, not to chase fading prizes, but to lay claim to the eternal crown marked for you. When you type it, See yourself stepping into the arena, lifting your head, and running with fire toward the one who waits at the finish line. Chosen one, the race is not over. The crown is already prepared. Your task is to endure, to keep your eyes forward, to finish well. And when you do, heaven will place upon your head not just a symbol, but the testimony of a life lived faithfully. And when you write, "I claim it," pause for a moment and realize what you are truly declaring. You are saying, "I will not surrender to distraction. I will not trade my eternal crown for temporary comfort. I will finish the race marked out for me." These three words are not empty. They are prophetic alignment. They announce to the unseen world that you refuse to let your trials be wasted. They announce that you believe every wound, every delay, every lonely night has been part of heaven's preparation for your reward. So, as your fingers type those words, see it as more than a comment. It is a covenant between you and the one who promised never to leave you, who holds your crown in his hands, waiting for the day he places it upon your head. The enemy has forged weapons against you, tailored schemes meant to break your spirit. Some came as betrayal, others as sudden loss, and still others as whispers of fear echoing in your mind. Yet here you are, still breathing, still standing. What does that tell you? That the weapons formed may have been real, but they have not prevailed. Your survival itself is evidence that destiny is stronger than opposition. It is spoken in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon forged against you will prevail. You will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Chosen one, take those words as a shield. Weapons will form. That much is certain. But the promise is that they will not win. Notice the scripture does not say there will be no weapons. It says they will not prosper. That is the difference between fear and faith. Fear sees the weapon and assumes defeat. Faith sees the weapon and remembers the promise. Picture an arrow shot at you in slow motion. The bow is drawn, the string releases, and the arrow races toward your chest. Yet just before impact, an unseen hand intercepts it. The weapon was real, but it failed because heaven intervened. That has been your story again and again, whether you realized it or not. There was once a man who survived what others did not. A car crash that should have claimed his life left him walking away with barely a scratch. A betrayal that should have destroyed his confidence only deepened his trust in God. Later, he realized that survival was not luck. It was proof that the word of Isaiah was alive in him. No weapon formed had prospered, and the very things that tried to kill him had become testimonies of God's protection. Your life bears similar marks. The sickness that should have overwhelmed you, the heartbreak that should have crushed you, the depression that tried to silence you, these were all weapons. But here you are, scarred, maybe, but not destroyed. Heaven has written your resilience into its story, and because you live under that promise, every weapon that rises in the future must also fail. That does not mean the road will be easy, but it means the outcome is already written. You cannot be defeated by what God has declared powerless. Now listen closely. The enemy thrives on isolation, convincing you that you are fighting alone. But the truth is, voices like this exist so that you never forget you are part of a greater army. If this word has reached you, Let it be a reminder that your battles matter, that your victories inspire, and that your testimony will light a path for someone else who feels surrounded by weapons. That is why I ask, not for vanity, but for mission. Press like as a declaration that you stand under the promise of Isaiah 54:17. Share this message so someone else, perhaps on the verge of giving up, will be reminded that the weapons against them cannot win. Subscribe so that your spirit remains anchored in words that strengthen and sustain you through the next storm. And if God nudges your heart, a support with a donation, because every seed sown here becomes a shield for someone else. Every gift fuels the spreading of light into places where darkness has tried to reign. When you take these actions, see them not as digital clicks, but as spiritual declarations. Each one says, I will not stay silent while others are under attack. I will amplify the promise that weapons may form, but they will not prosper. On me, imagine the sound of an army lifting their voices together, drowning out the lies of the enemy. That is what happens each time you engage. You are joining your voice with others, creating a roar of truth that hell cannot ignore. So, walk forward boldly. Weapons may rise, but they will fall. Tongues may accuse, but you will refute them. The heritage of the chosen is victory, not defeat. Your vindication is not from man, it is from the Lord himself. And that means no force, no curse, no scheme can overturn what heaven has decreed. Chosen one, do not fear the weapons. Fear is powerless when you remember the promise. Lift your eyes, hold your ground, and walk with the confidence that every battle you face is already decided. You are not merely surviving, you are walking proof that no weapon formed against you shall ever prosper. Light has always been more than a metaphor. It is the very substance that darkness cannot comprehend, cannot control, and cannot defeat. You may not realize it, but your presence alone carries illumination. The spirit within you shines, and hell trembles, because light exposes what darkness works hard to conceal. This is why battles have followed you, not because you are cursed, but because you are a lamp in enemy territory. Your light unsettles those who prefer shadows. It disrupts systems built on lies. It exposes hidden motives, and it reveals paths that others thought were sealed in obscurity. It is spoken in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. Why does this matter here? Because the source of your light is not your personality, not your willpower, but the goodness of the Lord who has chosen to dwell within you. The flame in you is not fragile, it is eternal, fueled by the Spirit, guarded by heaven. When trouble surrounds, you shine brighter because the refuge of the Lord is your shelter. Picture yourself as a lighthouse on a storm-battered coast. Waves crash violently against the rocks. Winds scream. Darkness spreads thick across the sea. Yet your light does not flicker out. Instead, it beams across the waters, guiding ships safely home. That is who you are, a signal in the night. A reminder that safety and direction are still possible, even in chaos. There was once a woman who lived with constant intimidation. She felt small in crowded rooms, silenced by louder voices, convinced that she had nothing to offer. Yet, wherever she went, people confided in her, telling her, "I feel peace around you," or When you speak, something shifts inside me, slowly. She realized her light was not about standing in the spotlight, but about carrying a presence that shifted atmospheres. Hell had tried to convince her she was powerless. But in truth, she terrified the darkness simply by existing. Chosen one. Your story is not much different. You underestimate the fire you carry. You assume your scars disqualify you, when in fact, they magnify the brightness of your flame. Light shining through cracks often glows the strongest. The very places you thought were weaknesses are the openings through which heaven radiates. The enemy fears this more than anything else. He knows that a single spark can ignite a forest, that a single candle can drive away shadows in a vast room. That is why he has tried to cover you, to convince you to hide, to silence your voice, to keep your flame under a basket. Because once you realize how much authority your light carries, you will walk boldly into places that darkness thought it owned. Think of Jesus on the mountain, his face shining like the sun during the transfiguration. That radiance was not hidden. It burst forth and terrified the shadows. The same Spirit that revealed his glory dwells in you. Waiting for the moment, you will stop shrinking and let the light blaze fully. Imagine carrying a lantern through a cave. Every step illuminates new ground, pushing back the darkness with ease. The shadows do not argue with the light, they simply vanish. This is the spiritual reality of your presence. You don't even have to strive. Your very existence as a vessel of God is a disruption to the enemy's plans. Do not despise the intensity of the warfare around you. It is only proof of how much your light unsettles hell. The greater the resistance, the greater the recognition of your radiance. Opposition is the enemy's confession that your light is working. Chosen one. Lift your head. The world does not need another imitation. It needs your authentic flame. Let your scars glow. Let your story shine. Let your presence disrupt darkness wherever you go. You are a living lighthouse, and your light terrifies the night. And never forget this: light does not negotiate with darkness. It does not ask permission to shine. The moment it appears, shadows scatter. That is the authority you carry. Each time you walk into a room, you shift the atmosphere without even realizing it. Your smile, your words, your very silence, all of it carries the imprint of heaven. Some will resist it. Some will be drawn to it, but none will be able to ignore it. So embrace the truth. You are not fragile. You are a flame. You are not small. You are a beacon. Let the world see the unhidden you, the radiant you, the fearless you. For when you walk in your true light, darkness has no choice but to bow. Numbers have always carried meaning in the language of God. They are not empty symbols. They are markers, reminders, and prophetic signs. From the 7 days of creation to the 12 tribes of Israel, numbers carry messages written into the rhythm of Scripture. And for you, chosen one, numbers are whispers that God has not forgotten the path He set you on. Think of the people of Israel returning from exile in the days of Haggai. They looked at the ruins of the former temple and wept, convinced that their future would never compare to their past. But then the word of the Lord came, declaring that what was to come would carry greater glory than what was lost. That same assurance reaches you now. The disappointment behind you cannot compare to the promise ahead. It is recorded in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9. The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty. And in this place I will grant peace. You may look at your life and see ruins, dreams shattered, relationships broken, opportunities missed. Yet heaven sees foundation stones ready to carry a greater weight of glory. What felt like loss was only clearing ground for the new. What appeared empty was making space for overflow. Imagine standing in an ancient city after an earthquake. Walls are toppled. Dust hangs in the air. Silence fills the streets. But then, builders arrive with fresh stone, laying a foundation stronger than before. Soon, what was rubble becomes restoration. That is the prophetic picture over your life. The shaking was not to destroy you, but to make room for a future filled with greater stability and peace. There was once a man who lost everything in a single-season job, friendships, and even his home. He thought his story was over, reduced to rubble. But slowly, brick by brick, God rebuilt. New opportunities arose, better than those he had lost. New relationships formed, healthier and stronger. Looking back, he realized that the shaking had not been punishment, but preparation. His former life, though comfortable, had been fragile. What God gave him after was enduring, built on unshakable foundation. So it is with you. What lies ahead carries more glory than what lies behind. Do not mourn forever over ruins when heaven has declared, rebuild. The prophetic promise is not about recovering exactly what you lost. It is about receiving something far greater. Numbers 2 carry this assurance. When you see them, you are reminded that God is weaving meaning into your timeline. And today, I ask you to make a prophetic declaration with a number. Type 555 in the comments. Why 555? Because 5 in Scripture symbolizes grace. And when it is tripled, it becomes an overwhelming flood of grace. More than enough to cover your past, present, and future. By writing 555, you are declaring, I receive grace for my rebuilding. I believe the latter glory of my life will be greater than the former. Let this number become more than digits on a screen. Let it become a covenant written into your heart. Grace is surrounding you. Grace is rebuilding what you thought was gone forever. Grace is carrying you into a future filled with peace and glory that cannot be shaken. Chosen one. The ruins are not the end. The shaking was never meant to bury you. It was meant to break the ground for a stronger foundation. Step forward into the promise of Haggai. Your latter days will shine brighter, carry more peace, and reflect greater glory than you have ever known before. And understand this, when God speaks of greater glory, He is not only talking about external success or visible blessings. He is speaking of a deeper transformation inside of you. The wisdom you now carry, the compassion born from your pain, the resilience forged in your trials, these are treasures far richer than what you lost. The temple rebuilt in your life is not just about walls and gold. It is about peace, maturity, and unshakable faith. Picture a tree that has endured a storm so fierce its branches were stripped bare. For a time, it looks lifeless. But beneath the soil, unseen roots are growing deeper, stronger, preparing for a new season. When spring arrives, the blossoms are fuller, the fruit sweeter, because of what the storm forced the tree to develop. That is you. What was stripped away only prepared you for fruit that lasts. So when you type 555, let it be a seal upon your spirit. Grace is multiplying over your life, and glory is waiting to unfold in ways you cannot yet imagine. Ashes are not the end of the story. To human eyes, ashes look like finality, remnants of what once burned bright, but has now been reduced to dust. Yet, in the kingdom of God, ashes are never the period at the end of the sentence. They are the soil where resurrection begins. Your life may have carried seasons that felt like firestorms. Dreams you nurtured collapsed. Relationships you cherished turned to dust. And perhaps even your faith felt singed beyond recognition. And yet, you are here. That fact alone is evidence that ashes are not your burial ground, but the birthplace of something new. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. This truth is not poetic optimism, it is eternal reality. The night seasons are real. The tears are valid. The pain is acknowledged. But the morning is inevitable. No night lasts forever. And no ashes remain untouched when God decides to breathe new life. Imagine a forest after wildfire. Blackened trees stand like tombstones. Smoke lingers. Silence reigns. It appears hopeless. But wait a few weeks, and suddenly green shoots push through the ash. Flowers bloom in unexpected places. New life springs forth stronger than before, nourished by the very soil of destruction. That is resurrection. And that is what is unfolding in your story. There was once a woman who endured devastating loss for months. She walked through life like a shell of herself, convinced her best years were behind her. But in that broken season, she discovered depths of God's presence she had never known. She began writing her thoughts. Small notes of hope, even when she didn't feel hope. Years later, those writings became a book that touched thousands. Her ashes became oil. Her grief became glory. Her pain became purpose. Chosen one. Never underestimate the potential of what looks ruined. Ashes carry nutrients for new growth. Pain prepares you for compassion. Loss deepens your capacity to love. Silence tunes your ear to heaven's whisper. Every fragment of what you thought was wasted is becoming the seedbed for what is to come. Think of Job, who lost everything in a single sweep of tragedy. His wealth, his children, his health all reduced to dust. Yet, in the ashes, Job met God in a way few have ever experienced. Out of that encounter came restoration. Not only of what he had lost, but double portion of what he could not have imagined. The ashes were not his end, they were his turning point. Picture a potter at his wheel. A vessel collapses under his hand, spinning into ruin. But he does not discard the clay. Instead, he gathers it, wets it again, and begins to shape anew. The second vessel, though born from collapse, is often stronger and more beautiful than the first. That is the work of God in your ashes. He does not discard you, He reshapes you. Your story of ashes is not shameful, it is sacred. It is proof that fire may burn, but cannot destroy what heaven has declared eternal. The enemy wanted you to believe that ashes were final, that nothing beautiful could rise again. But he underestimated the one who specializes in resurrection. Chosen one, your morning is coming. The laughter that once felt impossible will return. The joy that seemed stolen will be restored. And when it comes, it will not be shallow happiness, but deep, enduring joy, carved from the depths of your survival. Do not despise the ashes. They are proof that something once burned brightly, and they are the material God uses to ignite a new flame. Your testimony will be this: I thought it was over, but the morning came. I thought the fire had consumed me, but I rose again. And lift your eyes. The night is passing. The ashes are stirring, and the dawn of joy is already breaking over your horizon. And when that dawn breaks, you will see that the ashes you once hated have become the backdrop for God's masterpiece. Without them, the colors of His restoration would not shine as vividly. Without the depth of loss, the joy of recovery would not taste as sweet. What once mocked you as an end will testify of a new beginning. Picture a phoenix rising from smoldering ruins. Wings spread wide. Fire turned into flight. That ancient image reflects your spiritual reality. You are not defined by what you lost, but by what you rise into. So, carry this truth. Your story will not end in ashes. It will end in glory. And every eye that once pitied you will marvel at the beauty God brings forth from the dust. Mercy is one of the most misunderstood gifts. Many treat it like an endless river, forgetting that a river, though wide and generous, still has banks. To drift carelessly as though its flow could never change is to misunderstand the very heart of God. Mercy is abundant. Yes, but mercy is not to be mocked. There is a sobering truth. Every warning you hear, every stirring in your spirit, every moment of conviction is mercy in motion. God does not shout without reason. He does not pull your heart back from the edge without purpose. Yet if mercy is continually ignored, it eventually steps aside, allowing consequences to teach what warnings could not. It is written in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." And notice the urgency. God offers life freely, but He will not force it. Mercy extends the invitation, but obedience seals the choice. To delay is to risk drifting beyond the point of clarity. Imagine standing on a cliff edge as the ground beneath begins to crumble. A hand reaches to pull you back, but you hesitate, saying, "Perhaps tomorrow." How long can tomorrow hold? Each delay erodes the ground further, and eventually, hesitation becomes a fall. That hand of rescue is mercy, but it cannot save unless grasped. There was once a man who lived by impulse, dismissing every nudge of the Spirit. Friends warned him. Circumstances pointed toward change, but he shrugged each off with, "I'll figure it out later." Later never came. His choices hardened into habits, and the voice of conviction grew faint. By the time he realized the weight of his rebellion, years had been lost, and restoration, while possible, was far more painful than it could have been had he listened early. Mercy is not weakness, it is opportunity. It gives space for repentance, time for realignment, and a chance to turn back before destruction sets in. But when mercy is continually resisted, a shift happens. What once stirred your heart now sounds distant. What once made you weep now barely touches you. That numbness is not peace. It is the silence that comes when mercy has been set aside. Think of Pharaoh in Egypt. Again and again, Moses came with warnings. Plague after plague was not simply punishment. It was mercy, an invitation to turn. Yet each time Pharaoh hardened his heart. Eventually, mercy stepped back, and judgment filled the void. The same pattern can unfold in any life that confuses mercy for license. Picture mercy as a lamp burning in the night. It glows, steady and warm, showing you the way home. But if you keep walking in the opposite direction, eventually the light grows dim in the distance. It is not that the lamp failed, it is that you chose to wander away. Chosen one. The reason you still feel conviction, the reason this word even reaches you, is because mercy is still calling. That is hope. That is proof the door is still open. But it is also warning. Do not despise what remains. Mercy is a gift, not a guarantee. It comes not to burden, but to free. It is the Father's voice saying, "Come while the door is open." Do not assume the door will remain unlocked forever. History, Scripture, and countless lives testify that those who reject mercy repeatedly eventually live without its covering. And yet, for those who listen, mercy is the sweetest refuge. It wipes the slate clean. It restores what rebellion tried to destroy. It lifts the weary from the pit and places their feet on solid ground. For such as these, mercy is not wasted but multiplied, cascading into generations. Chosen one, take this truth to heart. Mercy is standing before you now, arms extended, but arms cannot remain stretched forever. The choice rests with you. Do not wait until the silence comes. Listen while mercy still speaks, and step into the life that has always been waiting for you. Mercy's invitation is not only for you, but for those connected to your life. Your obedience becomes a shelter for your family, a testimony to your friends, and a legacy for your children. When you choose to respond, the blessing multiplies beyond what you see. But when mercy is ignored, the absence of your yes also ripples outward. That is why the urgency is so heavy. It is not just about your future, but about the generations tied to your choice. Mercy is still extended. The question is, will you grasp it? There is a stirring unlike anything the world has seen in generations. A shaking that unsettles comfort zones, exposes false securities, and awakens those who have been sleeping in spiritual slumber. Chosen one, you are not just living through this time, you are a part of the remnant God is raising to awaken nations. You were born for this exact hour, positioned not by accident, but by divine design. Think of Ezekiel standing in the valley of dry bones, commanded to prophesy life where only death seemed possible. The shaking of bones was unsettling, but it was the necessary prelude to resurrection. In the same way, the shaking in your life and in the world around you is not chaos for chaos's sake. It is the sound of God assembling an army, and you are counted among that army. It is spoken in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. You are not called to blend in. You are called to stand as a visible signal, a voice crying out in the wilderness, a city whose light pierces the distance. This is why the world feels heavier for you. Why battles press harder against you? Because if the enemy can silence a chosen voice, he can dim the light meant to awaken others. But he cannot succeed, not when you understand who you are. Picture a torchbearer in ancient times. While the crowd sleeps, the torchbearer walks ahead, flame in hand, illuminating the path so others can follow safely. That is your role. You may feel weary, misunderstood, or out of place, but the flame you carry is the very thing guiding others out of darkness. Without you, the path would remain unseen. There was once a young believer who felt too small to matter. Surrounded by louder voices and grander platforms, he doubted that his obedience could impact anyone. Yet, one evening, he shared a simple message online, raw and honest. That message reached a single person who was on the verge of giving up on life. The ripple of that one act spread far beyond what he imagined. Later, he realized it was never about size but about light. Even a candle can drive back shadows in a vast room. Chosen one. Your generation does not need imitation, it needs authenticity. Your scars, your survival, your perseverance are the very proof others need to see. Do not hide them. Lift them as testimony. The shaking you endured has produced oil for your lamp, and that oil is meant to burn brightly in a time where counterfeit light fades quickly. Now, hear me carefully. When light is lifted, it multiplies. That is why your response matters. Press like, not for approval, but as a prophetic declaration that you choose to shine without fear. Share this message so the awakening spreads beyond you. There are dry bones waiting for a single word of life. Subscribe so that you remain connected to a stream of encouragement that will keep your flame steady in the storms to come. And if the Spirit stirs your heart, support with a donation. Every gift becomes oil poured into lamps across the nations, keeping the fire burning where it is most needed. Finally, declare in the comments, "I will shine." By writing it, you are proclaiming that your light will not be hidden, that you accept the call to awaken your generation. Do not underestimate this. Every action you take here is more than digital. It is spiritual. It is the sound of bones rattling, the spark of revival in unseen places. When you engage, you are saying to the darkness, "I refuse to be silent. I refuse to hide. I will shine as the city on a hill." Esno, imagine a crowd asleep in a vast plain. One by one, torches begin to ignite, at first scattered, then multiplying, until the whole landscape glows with fire. That is the vision of this generation, scattered flames joining into a blaze that no darkness can quench. And you, chosen one, are one of those flames. Lift your head. The shaking you feel is not destruction, it is awakening. You are part of a chosen remnant, an unshakable people rising with courage. The city on the hill cannot be hidden, and neither can you. Nations are waiting for your light. Generations are waiting for your voice. The time is no longer. Someday it is now. And when you rise, remember this truth. Revival does not begin in crowds. It begins in hearts. Your flame may seem small, but united with others, it becomes unstoppable fire. Your future is not fragile. It is not hanging by a thread or dependent on the approval of others. Your future is secured by the one who spoke creation into existence, the same God who calls the stars by name and keeps oceans within their boundaries. If he can hold the cosmos together, surely he can sustain the path he has chosen for you. The enemy tries to whisper otherwise. He tells you that you have missed your chance, that your mistakes have closed doors, that your failures are final. But those whispers are lies. Heaven's decree stands above every setback. Doors may close, but God is the one who holds the keys. What he opens, no one can shut. What he shuts, no one can force open. It is written in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Let those words settle in your heart. They are not vague promises. They are personal guarantees. God does not guess about your future. He knows it. He does not wish good for you. He has already woven it into the fabric of your destiny. Imagine a master architect unrolling a blueprint. Line. Each detail, each hidden measurement is intentional. To the untrained eye, it may look like random markings. But the architect sees the full vision, the structure rising, the beauty revealed. Your life is that blueprint. The moments that feel confusing or chaotic are not mistakes. They are details leading toward a greater design. There was once a young man who felt like his life had stalled. Every attempt to move forward seemed blocked. He questioned whether God had forgotten him. Yet years later, looking back, he realized those seasons of waiting had been essential. The delays were not denial, they were preparation. The very things he thought were wasting his time were in fact sharpening his character, strengthening his faith, and aligning him for opportunities he could not yet see. When the appointed moment arrived, he stepped into it with a strength he would not have had otherwise. Chosen one, your path may not look linear, but it is leading somewhere specific. Detours are not derailments, they are often divine reroutes. What feels like wandering is sometimes God guiding you away from snares you cannot see. Trust the detours as much as the destinations. Picture a ship sailing across a vast ocean. Storms rise. Winds shift. Currents push it off course. Yet the captain holds a compass fixed to true north. No matter how long the voyage or how rough the sea, that compass ensures the ship will arrive. God's Spirit within you is that compass. Even when waves of doubt crash, even when fear clouds your view, the Spirit directs you toward the harbor of destiny. Do not measure your future by present circumstances. Clouds may cover the sky, but the sun still burns above them. Your current season may look dark, but light is ahead. Hope is not wishful, thinking it is anchored in the certainty of God's promises. Think of Abraham, called to leave his homeland without knowing the destination. To human reasoning, it was reckless. Yet Abraham walked forward, step by step, trusting a promise he could not see. Generations later, his obedience became the foundation for nations. Your future carries that same weight. The steps you take in faith today will ripple into generations you may never meet. You are unstoppable, not because of your strength, but because of His sovereignty. No curse, no jealousy, no failure can erase what God has decreed. The enemy may attempt to delay, but he cannot destroy. You are sealed for a future that will unfold at the appointed time. Lift your eyes. What lies ahead of you is greater than what lies behind. What waits for you cannot be stolen, cannot be blocked, cannot be erased. The God who knows the end from the beginning has already written the final chapter, and in that chapter, you are not defeated, you are victorious. Chosen one. Walk with confidence. Your future is not fragile. It is unshakable, unstoppable, and filled with glory. Trust the author of your story, for he has already declared the ending, and it is good. So when doubt whispers and fear rises, silence them with this truth. Your destiny is already written in ink that cannot fade. Every promise will stand. Every plan will unfold. Every step is guided. You are not stumbling blindly. You are being carried by the author of eternity into a future sealed with his goodness. The story does not end with struggle, nor with waiting, nor even with victory in battle. The story ends with a crown eternal, unshakable, radiant. You have walked through fire, endured rejection, wrestled with delay, and chosen obedience at the crossroads. And now, heaven reveals what was promised all along. You are crowned in glory that does not fade. This crown is not like the trophies of earth. Gold tarnishes, jewels can be stolen, and crowns of men pass from head to head as power shifts. But the crown of heaven is incorruptible. It is placed upon you not for a season but for eternity. It is the seal of the one who called you, the visible mark that you belong to him forever. It is written in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. No, chosen one. See the weight of those words. This crown is not earned by perfection, but given by grace. It is not for the flawless, but for the faithful, for those who refuse to give up when surrender looked easier. Every tear, every scar, every moment of endurance has been woven into the jewel of that crown. Imagine standing in the great throne room, the air alive with worship, light shimmering brighter than the sun. You approach, trembling, not in fear, but in awe. And there he is, the King of Kings, smiling as he calls your name. In his hands, he holds the crown prepared for you since before the foundations of the world. As he places it upon your head, every battle suddenly makes sense. Every delay is justified. Every wound becomes a badge of honor. The weight of that crown will silence every doubt you ever carried. There was once a woman who lived her life in hidden faithfulness. Few knew her name. She did not lead crowds or stand on stages. She simply prayed, served, and loved faithfully. When she passed into eternity, many thought her impact had been small, but in heaven, her welcome was thunderous. The crown placed upon her head reflected a life that had touched countless souls in ways unseen. Her story is a reminder: heaven measures differently than earth. What looks small here is often great there. Your crown is not a distant dream, it is already secured. It has been forged in eternity, awaiting only the moment of your arrival, and it will never be taken from you. No scheme of the enemy can snatch it. No failure can erase it. No shadow can dim its radiance. It is sealed with your name, waiting in the treasury of heaven. Picture a runner collapsing at the finish line. Exhausted but triumphant, the crowd erupts. The victor's wreath is placed upon his head, and suddenly the pain of the race is forgotten. That is a faint glimpse of what awaits you. The race has been long, but the finish is glorious. Chosen one, Your endurance has not been wasted. Your faith has not been ignored. Your destiny has not been overlooked. Heaven has been watching. Angels have been surrounding, and the King himself has been preparing the moment of your crowning. So stand tall. Lift your eyes. You are not defined by the weight of yesterday. You are defined by the crown of tomorrow. It is the crown of righteousness, the crown of glory, the crown of life everlasting. And once it rests upon your head, no power in heaven or on earth can remove it. The crown is not merely a symbol, it is your eternal identity. You are God's chosen, marked not just for survival, but for honor. When the story of your life is read in eternity, it will not end in ashes or in battle. It will end in glory, with the crown of heaven shining on your head, forever declaring, "This one endured. This one believed. This one is mine." And as that crown rests upon you, it will not only testify of your faith, but also of God's faithfulness. It will proclaim to every power and principality that grace triumphed, that light overcame darkness, that love outlasted every storm. The crown is not just a reward, it is a declaration that eternity has claimed you fully. Walk now with that vision before your eyes. Live each day as one already crowned, already sealed, already victorious. For when the final chapter is revealed, your story will shine as one of heaven's greatest testimonies of endurance and glory. Chosen one. The journey of these words has not been random. Each section has been a step, guiding you from silence into awakening, from ashes into glory, from battle into crown. And now, as we close, the reminder rings clear. You are unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. You were not meant to blend in, you were meant to shine, to carry the flame of heaven into a world desperate for light. Think back to every moment you almost gave up. You are still here. That alone is proof that God has not finished with you. The crown described is not distant fantasy, it is your destiny. But destiny is not walked alone. It grows stronger when you surround yourself with reminders, with voices, with community that fan your flame instead of snuffing it out. That is why I urge you, do not let this word stop here. Press like as your agreement with heaven's declaration over your life. Share this message so someone else, lost in their night season, finds the courage to keep walking. Subscribe so you remain connected to a steady stream of truth that will anchor your soul when storms come. And if the Spirit moves you, support with a donation, because every seed sown multiplies this light, ensuring that voices of hope reach even further, touching lives you may never meet on this side of eternity. Finally, write in the comments, "I receive my crown." By doing this, you are not just typing, you are making a prophetic declaration that you are stepping boldly into what God has already prepared for you. Walk forward. Chosen one. Heaven is watching. Earth is waiting. And your crown is already shining.